Hi, welcome back to in.notion. Continuing our calm manipulation material from before. Yesterday, we discussed one manipulative technique, which is repetition. In this episode, we will discuss another manipulative technique, which is alternating reinforcement. If you're craving coffee, go ahead and make some. If you feel like smoking, feel free to do so. Let's just relax. Okay, let's get straight to it. Now, I want you to imagine yourself as a man who has a date today with a beautiful woman who has been your girlfriend for 3 months. Her name is Nana. And because you're head over heels for her, you're really excited today. You're sitting with her in a corner of the restaurant she booked for a dinner to celebrate your 3-month anniversary. Tonight, you see her looking so beautiful and graceful, just perfect. And as you're mesmerized by her beauty, suddenly, you notice a slight swelling on her left eyelid, and her makeup looks a bit thicker. Seeing something unusual, of course, you'd ask, "Honey, what's wrong? Why is there swelling? Are you okay?" But unexpectedly, she starts to confess. She suddenly becomes evasive. She suddenly tells you about how she's been cheating on you behind your back. She tells in detail the story of her love affair with her ex-boyfriend, who reappeared, and how eventually, her ex-boyfriend hit her. Your beautiful day suddenly turns unpleasant. This story was told by my friend. Let's call him Albert. Albert tells in more detail what Nana said. Nana said like this: "Before being with you, Bert, I used to date someone. His name is Satria. We dated for almost 5 years. I knew very well that he wasn't a good guy. Even back then, when he got angry, he often hit me. Yesterday, I told Satria that I'm actually yours, and I asked him not to bother me anymore. He said, 'Okay, I won't disturb your relationship,' and he asked me to kiss him for the last time. We just kissed for a while, maybe about 5 minutes, and before I realized it, I was in his room. And suddenly, the next morning, he got angry and hit me." Okay, from Nana's story, it's clear that she's trapped in the manipulative clutches of Satria. Satria could make Nana addicted to his love, affection, and attention. Actually, Nana could have almost escaped from Satria, but because of one action of Satria, eventually, Nana fell back under his spell. What action was that? That's right, the last kiss he asked for. It made Satria fully control Nana's emotions again. And with this, once again, Nana is under Satria's control. Albert also thinks the same as us. He feels that it would be very difficult for Nana to break free from Satria's control. And this is reinforced by Nana's words telling that this restaurant where they're sitting, currently, which Nana specifically booked to celebrate their 3-month anniversary, is actually Satria's favorite restaurant. Without much thought, Albert decides to end his relationship with Nana. Then, a few years later, Albert accidentally meets Nana again. And Nana is still trying to break free from Satria's influence. Imagine, for years, Nana still couldn't break free from Satria's influence. Nana said that the only way she could think of was to move to another city. And in the end, Albert could only pray for everything to go smoothly. But if, just before she moved to another city, Satria met her at the airport, at the station, at the terminal, or in front of her house. Before Nana went to another city and gave Nana a last kiss, I'm 100% sure that Nana would cancel her plans to move and instead return to Satria. Why could Nana be like that? Long before Albert told me about this incident, I had often experienced things like this, whether from a girlfriend, friends, or even family. Now, here's an explanation. But before that, let me explain a psychology experiment about pigeons. It might sound absurd. How can there be a relationship between manipulative practices and pigeons? But wait, after I tell this, you will definitely think, "Oh, that makes sense." Because in this story, there's an explanation about human nature. Like yesterday's material, by understanding this basic nature and mastering it, a manipulator can act. Now, I want you to imagine an iron cage containing a pigeon. Inside the cage, there's a small iron bar, and when the pigeon pecks it, the researcher will give it its favorite food. Because all animals like food, we can associate the food that the pigeon likes as a reward or reinforcement for its pecking behavior. Up to this point, you might think that the more often the researcher gives food through the small iron bar, the more often the pigeon will peck it, right? But it's not the case. So the results of the experiment are: first, when the pigeon is not given reinforcement, it will completely stop pecking it. So when there is no reinforcement in a behavior, it will stop. Second, when the pigeon is continuously given reinforcement every time it pecks the small iron bar, it will only occasionally peck it. So when we continuously give reinforcement, occasionally the pigeon will peck that small iron bar. And third, the last and most important thing in our discussion today. When the researcher gives reinforcement or reward, alternately, sometimes given, sometimes not, so when the pigeon pecks the small iron bar, sometimes the researcher gives food, sometimes not. Well, this actually makes the pigeon pecking more often, and even to an abnormal level. The pigeon can peck the small iron bar for hours, continuously and very intensively. Well, the result of the experiment itself is that giving reinforcement or reward alternately is the strongest method to shape the behavior of pigeons they desire. Now, I want to ask you, what's the similarity between this experiment and Nana's case? When you compare the story of the pigeon earlier with the love story between Nana and Satria, you will find a similarity or correlation. Because actually, we are very similar to animals. The alternating reinforcement given to shape a behavior in pigeons can also be done to us, humans. For example, when we receive reinforcement every time we meet someone, let's call them person A. Maybe every time you meet person A, they always treat you well. So here, you can be a bit more open with them. Simply put, a little friendlier. Just like the pigeon earlier, when we are continuously given reinforcement, we will also treat that reinforcement, just like the pigeon. We trivialize that reinforcement because we think that maybe person A is just that good of a person. And this is indeed a fact, that we as humans will only respond slightly better to people who always treat us well. So similar to Albert's case, Nana and Satria. Nana likes Albert, but Nana also knows that Albert will always treat her well, 24/7. He will treat Nana like a queen. And there, Nana also felt that Albert could be hers anytime. And that's how it is. When you always treat others well, you will always be taken for granted. This is a fact, and it has been proven. Feel free to look for journals. In fact, there are many pieces of advice from experienced people, elders, about life, tips on socializing, which say that you should be distant to everyone, at all times. Yes, this is advice to avoid being taken for granted. In short, humans have two basic tendencies. They will always underestimate anything they can have at any time. But the results of the experiment on pigeons earlier can inform us about the primal or instinctual nature of humans, often exploited by a manipulator. Now, let's recall how intermittent reinforcement becomes the strongest form of reinforcement that can be given to pigeons. Why? It's simple, because when the pigeon is only occasionally reinforced when it pecks the small iron, the pigeon becomes confused and doesn't know when it will receive reinforcement again. So, it keeps pecking. In essence, it keeps begging for reinforcement. This is where the similarity between this experiment and the love story of Nana and Satria lies. Satria provides intermittent reinforcement like a skilled manipulator. His way of treating Nana like a queen, for example, in their last kiss, and sometimes hitting Nana or not giving any reinforcement at all. So, Nana never knows when she can have Satria entirely. It's this intermittent reinforcement that makes Nana behave like a pigeon. Nana keeps trying repeatedly to return to Satria, to get reinforcement from Satria. Nana never clearly knows what she should do with Satria. She's confused, and resigns herself to following what her heart says. The more she follows her heart, the less she can have Satria. And this also falls under one of the basic human tendencies, that we will relentlessly pursue something we can never have. And it's this basic human tendency that Satria exploits. So, there's an idiom or saying, that humans always want something they haven't got. This nature is the motivation for people who work tirelessly to pursue wealth, a man who goes all out to win a woman's heart, and a woman who destroys herself and her future for a man. A manipulator who can master and exploit this basic nature will have great control over their target. By providing intermittent reinforcement, a manipulator can stir up desire in their target for things they cannot have. Maybe, if the manipulator is a woman and the target is a man, the woman can make the man feel that he will never fully possess her. Or if the manipulator is a businessman, he can make his target, his colleagues, feel that they cannot be like him. And the target won't be able to escape from those desires. Because the manipulator knows when they should give reinforcement, and when they should not. And the target feels that they cannot have what the manipulator offers. And it's precisely this desire that makes the targets want what the manipulator offers. Sometimes the targets even chase after it desperately. Just like the love story between Nana and Satria. Of course, Satria won't know what the concept of intermittent reinforcement psychology is. I'm 100% sure that Satria learned this skill on his own, from his life experiences chasing women. Maybe Satria always thought, I always treat women like queens. Why am I being played instead? And I try to do the same thing to other women, and it works. Now, think back to your past romantic experiences. Maybe unintentionally, you have given or received intermittent reinforcement like this. Because surely, no matter how skilled we are in interacting with the opposite sex, no matter how great our sacrifices, there will always be one or two people we cannot obtain. And this is what makes us want them even more. Because I, too, have been close to women several times. I have tried every method, consulted various people I considered experts in this field, and done everything to satisfy those women. But in reality, I failed. Okay. So to provide intermittent reinforcement to their target, manipulators usually do it in two stages. First, they establish a pattern. Remember, a pattern. They reinforce the target by giving them what they desire. Second, once this pattern is established, they will stop providing reinforcement. And here, the target will do anything to get that reinforcement. It sounds simple, but it's actually difficult to do. Because fundamentally, the manipulator must be able to provide reinforcement to the target first. And when this reinforcement misses the mark, the target can no longer be manipulated. Usually, manipulators will behave very well with their target at the beginning, while weakening the target's defenses, while looking for information they can use to provide reinforcement. Learning a little about intermittent reinforcement may help you understand why some people can stay in toxic relationships, even though logically, it's not normal, right? Or perhaps some of you are currently experiencing a toxic relationship. If so, please write it in the comment section. Thank you for watching until the end, and see you at the top.